Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Michelle's vlog. And we're in meet prep at the moment. So for bench press this week, and again keeping in mind she only close grip benches, we've discussed why in the past. We did long pause. I wanted 3-second pauses. I want you guys to notice she's also going flat footed now, because we talked about it, and one of the big issues that she does have is when she goes up on her toes, sometimes she resets her feet. Okay, this is going to be a problem in meets, right? And it's a habit that she's picked up, and I'm like, look, let's just learn to get tighter, right? Let's learn to get tighter. Let's not go up onto your toes and focus on just bracing, getting tight, digging in this manner. And she's doing much, much better there. So we're noticing that that problem is going away. She's learning how to do it, and the speed benching will, of course, facilitate that. Okay, we did floor press up next, and as far as her overall training goes, we're at a point where I feel like shoulders are pretty much limiting our bench. And it has to do with just watching her bar pass, watching what's going on there. And people always ask me that, hey, can you give us some quick, easy tutorials for finding our weak links on lifts? And it's like, no, because even if I did and I gave you guys 30-minute long videos on addressing them on the bench, you're going to misinterpret it. I even see articles written up that are just flat biomechanically wrong all the time. So, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just part of the art of coaching, and I don't know that I can explain it in a way that people who only have a couple years of experience watching people lift are going to be able to understand, right? Especially, I mean, particularly lifts like the squat, right? I mean, it takes a very, very close trained eye to note the difference between a low back miss and a quad miss. It's a very subtle difference. And if I just try to explain it in a way that I think people would understand, you're going to confuse the two all the time. Okay? It takes a trained eye. You just need to learn to watch hundreds and hundreds of people lifting. Study some biomechanics. Okay, there's your secret. But what we're doing, obviously she's still doing pull-ups. We're doing rows these days, so we get 2 different back movements. But we're going to start adding more and more shoulder work. All right, so you guys are going to notice, first of all, we are doing, after our basic pressing and pulling, putting a heavy shoulder focus in, which I do myself, but mine's even more extreme. All right, she does seated dumbbell presses. All right, and we're trying to find the angles that are best for her shoulders. And notice that we're already starting to see her shoulders come up a little bit just with a couple of weeks of doing extra shoulder work again. Delts are coming up. Okay, delts are coming up. We're seeing a little bit of good changes in body composition here because we have wiggle room going into her meet. We're slow bulking, but she's also noted just with all the conditioning she does and everything, she doesn't seem to have gained any body fat. She's like, if anything, some of my measurements are indicating I may have lost a small amount of fat. Not much, but again, we're definitely seeing some changes in body composition. So we're noting here, letting her do a couple different grips to figure out what feels best on her shoulder joint as far as overhead work. That is one of the perks of dumbbells, is that we can pronate and supinate the wrists. Right, we can go into these different positions and find what works best for certain people's shoulder girdles, which is a very good thing. It's a good thing. We like this. Then we do front raises. Now, a lot of people are going to say, isn't this very front delt dominant? Yeah, but it's actually hitting all the heads of the delt, and we're doing quite a bit of pulling. Now, does that mean we won't eventually add even more rear delt stuff? Of course, we might. We probably will eventually. But I want to bring that work capacity up, right? Bring the work capacity up for the shoulders. And then, of course, she does her band press downs. And you guys know how I feel about these. I love band press downs. And I think particularly for my closer grip benchers, they're great to have. But we can only handle so much total volume on a lot of things. So if we're going to push her shoulders harder for a bit, we can't do too many tricep exercises. Now, keeping in mind all her benching itself is close grip, so they tend to be slightly more tricep dominant anyways. All right, max effort lower day. We do double maxes because she is a power lifter. What do we got? safety bar box squat. She got a PR on this. She got 240 on this, which is pretty dang good. And I think we did sumo against bands. Now, I think her band tension here is about 45 to 50. It's a little hard to judge with these setups, but that's about where I think it is. And so she pulled, I think, 255 plus the bands. And I'm happy with that. And I only put her heaviest set in here. But look how clean that was. Okay, we left a little bit in the tank there. Left a little bit in the tank. And so after doing another training max first, I'm quite happy with that. All right. Moving forward here, a lot of posterior chain work. That came up, and I've had someone ask me in the comments. And if you guys ask this again, if you don't watch the video and then you guys get into here and start asking me this based upon just reading the description, I'm not going to be happy about it. Don't expect me to be polite. Because it does happen sometimes. People just see the sheet and look at it and they ask questions without listening to the video. Someone had said, is she long femur or short femur? It's like, first of all, if you can't look at someone, she's not like she's covered up in sweats or anything, guys. If you can't tell that she has long femurs, I don't know what to tell you. She is extremely tall, by the way. I believe she is 5'9". She's, which is the average height of a man in North America, has long femurs. So the topic came up of, well, doesn't she need more quad work then? Okay, here's where people are not understanding what we're doing here. Number one, she drags a sled 5 or 6 days a week. You'll build massive quads doing that. Okay, we do all these speed pulls. We do the speed squats. A lot of these movements still work quads to some extent. All right, her quads are getting a ton of work. Quads are getting a ton of work. So even though she has long femurs, the quads are getting worked. Number two, what is the point with the whole long femur and the quad thing? Who are we talking about? We're talking about competitive bodybuilders. All right, for those of you who may not have read the title or listened to the videos, Michelle competes in powerlifting. Okay, powerlifting is a sport in which you go into a weight class, right? You're judged by weight class, and you try to lift the heaviest squat, bench, and deadlift for a 1 rep max that you can. Okay, that's what powerlifting is. Bodybuilding is a performing art to where a person tries to maximize muscular development and balance, and then they diet down as lean as possible, cover themselves in, fake tan and oil, and get up in a bikini and they flex in front of people. Okay, and their physique is judged by a panel of judges. All right, Michelle is not a bodybuilder, she is a power lifter. So the whole point with that is that squats don't always build the best quad development for bodybuilding purposes for people with longer femurs. That's where that whole topic comes from. Right? In her case, we're not as concerned with building bodybuilder quads. We want her quads to grow, but she's doing quad work. Our purposes for having quads are to have a bigger squat and to help break the weight off the floor faster on a deadlift. That's what we want quads for in powerlifting. Okay? But in her case, her quads are not her weak link on these movements. All right, speed benching. We used chains this week. We did our normal rotation here for back work. We do pull-ups. We do one-arm dumbbell rows. And I would just as happily take the pull-ups away from her and replace it with other rowing, but she really likes pull-ups and she's good at them. So we continue to use them. All right, so we do the seated presses again. We do the plate front raises. And then we finish up with tricep band press downs. All right, that's her upper body speed day. Notice where a lot of our focus is. A lot of shoulder, a lot of upper back and tricep is really what we're focused on. But, for anyone who's like, is there pec work? Of course there is. We're still speed benching. Of course, we do floor presses on the other day. We do the front raises. Front raises are also a pec exercise. Right? One of those things where, they're a single joint movement, but many single joint movements work multiple muscles. Something people oftentimes forget. They start thinking in terms of isolation, which is a make-believe bodybuilder idea that it's really silly. It's an absolutely ludicrous concept, right? You have to be profoundly ignorant in human biomechanics to think it's even possible to isolate a muscle. Okay. So it's almost a word that we should just throw away. Actually, it's a word that when you hear it, you know that someone really has no idea what in the hell they're talking about. It's a dead giveaway. All right, speed squats. We did a normal straight bar on a box against chains, right? Getting better speed, better control here. Notice she's able to sit back a little bit more now, which tells us our posterior chain's getting stronger. Usually the inability to sit back on a box squat is indicative of hamstring weakness, by the way. All right, speed pulls this week are being done conventional against chains. All right, conventional against chains. We'll eventually rotate in some band work for her for the speed stuff. Letting her learn the chains, get good with the chains, and we'll start rotating them around soon. All right, after that, we finish up with safety bar good mornings. Again, upper back, posterior chain. We do our glute ham raises and our reverse hypers, which again, most of you know how I feel about that. That is one of my favorite ways to end any lower body workout for my lifters, is if they have access to a glute ham raise and a reverse hyper. Again, phenomenal movements. And I'll go so far as to say that they're never a bad way to finish a lower body session. Like if you have no idea what else to do, how to program, but you finish a lower body workout, a squat or deadlift workout, with glute ham raises and reverse hypers, with the reasonable volumes and workloads, you're not going to go wrong, right? Your margin for error there is dramatically reduced. You will, for most people, unless you're very, very advanced and need separate programming, you'll almost be guaranteed to get stronger just finishing with these two movements. Right? They're just that good. They're that useful. They're that universal for strength athletes. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.